Philadelphia is a mess, and a talented mess, but the Bears beat them in Philly, and they don't have any identity. Right now, the Eagles offense, with a good O-line, tight end, star receiver, Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts. Yards per game, 24th. Third down percentage, near the bottom of the league. 3-and-out percentage, worst in the league. Punts, tied for 29th. So, and they didn't just get ugly in the last couple of weeks. They've been completely uneven since the first week. They have had an offensive identity crisis for about 75 to 80% of Nick Sirianni's tenure. So, and I've said this about Nick Sirianni. He's not an elite scheme coach like Dan Campbell in Detroit. You can argue he's a good culture coach. He's good in the locker room, although that sometimes sounds like she's got a great personality, but he's not a great scheme coach. So it's much harder for him than it is like a McVay, a Shanahan, a Ben Johnson, or a Matt LaFleur to fix something in season. He did it that one year because he just gave up the play calling to a really good coach who now leads the Colts, Shane Steichen. But it does feel like an unsolvable problem because part of being a great coach is constantly tweaking. Chargers lose both offensive tackles. Niners lose Fred Warner, Bosa, and their first-round pick. It's not just August to January. You have to constantly tweak. And we've seen these issues since week one, and they're not tweaking them because they can't. The GM has shown an ability in an off-season to tweak. It's interesting. I think Nick Sirianni feels almost like a defensive coach. It's about brute strength, be aggressive, have a vibe, be tough. What they need is tweaking. Green Bay 3 weeks ago, broken offense. Green Bay now, Super Bowl contender. You got to constantly tweak. It's been since week one, it's been a mess. So I just look around this league right now, and it's very rare when you can get a coach like Ben Johnson, who is not only a CEO and a culture builder, but good with schematics. That's McVay, Shanahan. I think Vrabel's pretty good at that. But there's no easy answer. Everybody wants them to move off the offensive coordinator. He's not McVay. Who's calling plays? Here's Nick Sirianni.
We're not changing the play caller. But we will evaluate everything. I have confidence in the entire group. Again, I know it will keep coming back to Kevin. But again, if I thought it was one thing, then you make those changes. Obviously, it's a lot of different things. But I don't think it is Kevin.
The whole thing that's happening with the Philadelphia Eagles right now is really indefensible. And at least now, Colin is starting to acknowledge coaching and not just try to blame Jalen Hurts, although he still keeps repeating this nonsense. They have a great O-line when their O-line has not been great by any stretch of the imagination. I already showed you all the data and showed you that the Philadelphia Eagles are essentially bottom 10 in O-line right now. But before I get deeper into it, please, Philadelphia Eagles fans, do not forget to subscribe and watch the full length of the video, as it is the best way to support the growth of this channel so I can keep making Philadelphia Eagles content, so I can keep having real, actual, accurate conversations about the Philadelphia Eagles, which we know are very difficult to have. So please do not forget to do that. When you guys do that, this is what happens. Views go through the roof, subscribers go through the roof, and it's not just about chasing clicks. It's not just about chasing subscribers. It's about building a community that we all want to be a part of. Philadelphia Eagles losing to the Bears was actually perfect because it showed you what great coaching is. It showed you what great coaching is. Just how they were able to execute the run game was brilliant. And it's not just calling hike and having your running back just try his best to throw. Just having the O-line just try to block and have hopefully a hole opens up. It was all intentional. And like I showed you all in the post game, the Philadelphia Eagles only Saquon ran the ball. No other running back. And I went through every other game. Every other game, especially with all the great offensive coaches, every other team had multiple running backs except the Philadelphia Eagles. And it's indefensible. It's absolutely indefensible. And we saw another, first of all, the team that was able to run the ball, the Chicago Bears, down their throats, down the Eagles' throats. They even had multiple running backs that they were relying on. Why? Because it adds other wrinkles to the offense. So I'm not here saying this is Saquon's fault. I'm definitely not saying that. What I'm pointing out is that it's just another example of coaching malpractice of how I was watching the Bills game versus the Steelers. And Cook is cooking, and they have this play where they have Cook and their other running back there, and you're not sure now who's going to get the ball. And it was on a 4th and short. I believe it was 4th and short or 3rd and short. Whatever it was an important moment, and there was some trickery, not like trickery in the sense where you're like, ooh, we're going left, then we're going to go right, and then we're going to do this. It was just a little misdirection, a little kind of like, you don't know what we're about to do here, and then, you know, on the broadcast, they're like, everyone thought it was going to go to Cook instead. It went to the other running back, and they converted. It's just a wrinkle. That's all it is, just a little wrinkle. And the fact that the Eagles can't even do that is insane to me. It's absolutely positively insane. It shows someone that has no mastery over the offense, no confidence in play calling, in game planning, in game management. It's just, let's just keep handing the ball off to Saquon and see what happens. And it goes nowhere. And even the run games itself, like I had showed the clips of what the Bears were able to do, and I'll go through them incredibly quickly. Okay, this is from Coach Dan Casey, and I'm going to rip through these, it'll take literally like 15 seconds, but no one motions their tight ends into advantageous blocking angles better than Ben Johnson. And just like you can see the run game, you can see the motion. You can see what it is. It's not just a good old handoff. Look at this. That's how these holes are getting opened up. It's the play calling. It's the execution. It's not just we're just going to hand the ball off and away we go. This is why Saquon keeps getting met in the backfield and why these guys were able to have 17 rushing first downs. Okay, it's just one after the other. This is not just one O-line bullying one D-line. This is play calling. Look at the blocking. This is how this all works. This is coaching. This is play calling. This is preparation. This is not just body on body, which is as what Gay Cole has said, and lots of other people have said this. The Eagles aren't about that. They're just like, we got more talented guys than you, so we're just going to be able to get the job done. It's just body on body. That's not what Ben Johnson does. That's not what Sean McVay does. That's not what Andy Reid does. Why do the Eagles never do anything even close to resemble this? It's indefensible. It's coaching. So even though I've been saying the O-line has not been good as it has been in the past, let's say the O-line, let's say the individual players last season were playing at a 10. Let's just be real stupid with it. 0 to 10. And they were playing at a 10. I think it would be fair to say that these guys, even if they can't quite tap into 10 right now, that if they slip down to a 7, that would still be good enough. But with coaching, they're now playing at like a 4 or a 5, and then it just becomes too much. You literally can't do anything. But in a game where their quarterback, since everyone's all about the quarterback, Caleb Williams did not play well. He did not have this great game. He had a couple nice moments, but this was not some great. He was 17 for 36, 154 yards, 4.3 yards per carry, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and a 56.9 pass rating. But they ran the ball 47 times for 281 yards, and it was also indefensible. And I praise Fangio. I think Fangio is an elite defensive mind in the NFL. He is a huge reason why the Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl, right? Without a shadow of a doubt. And it was indefensible for him to dare the Bears to keep running. And they said it on the broadcast, Fangio is going to keep daring the Bears to run. And it's like, why? Why are you daring the team that wants to run the ball, that they want to run the ball? That is what Ben Johnson wants to do. And like I said in my post-game clip, like what Bill Bitch would always do is like, we want you to play left-handed, right? We want you to force you to play in a way that you don't want to do. And seemingly the Eagles are inviting teams to play exactly how they want because that has been the philosophy of the Eagles. Just like, we're better than you. We got better guys. So we just want to do what we want to do. We're not going to try to do misdirection. We're not going to try to force you to play any type of way. We are going to play the way how we want to play. And we're just going to bank on the fact that we just have more talent than you, so we're just going to beat you. That's all well and good, but that can only get you so far. You're making the jobs harder for everyone. And it's just tough. It's a tough existence. I mean, it's just 17 rushing first downs. Whereas the Eagles, who were supposed to have like the greatest run game in the history of the universe, running quarterback Saquon Barkley, they had 2. They had 2 rushing first downs, and I'm sure one of them was Jalen Hurts. It's just crazy. It's indefensible. This is indefensible. 13 carries, 56 yards from Saquon. And again, even this is misleading because this feels like it was like, 13 carries, 4.3 yards per carry, This was not some sort, he had a couple successful runs. But other than that, it was like nothing, 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 nothing. I mean, they got dominated in the time of possession. It's just not good football. And then every third down, Jalen Hurts got flushed out. Every third down, Jalen Hurts was flushed out of the pocket. Every time there was a third down, it's like, I bet you Jalen Hurts is going to get flushed out of the pocket, and he's going to be rolling to his right, and he's going to have to make some sort of difficult throw. And seemingly that's what it was every single time. This is a coaching issue. And now listen, I understand that this is what Sirianni is going to say, because what do you expect him to say? He's not going to get up on the mic and say, yeah, Kim Patul has been awful. We got to fire him. He's not going to say that. You're not going to do that. That's not what a leader does. So he's going to say, I think we have everything we need. Saquon Barkley is saying, I think everything we have, we need. A.J. Brown, all the players are going to say that. That all makes sense. That all makes sense. But this is fundamentally a fundamental coaching issue at its core. At its core. Everybody wants to try to be like, well, Jalen Hurts is not good enough of a thrower and the O-line, and it's just like at the core of it, it is a coaching issue and the O-line, but it's like outside of the third down issues that I spoke about, where it just seems like, Jalen was flushed. I couldn't even say necessarily like this was 100% like, oh, well, clearly the O-line was the problem in this game. I wouldn't say that for this specific game, where you're just like, this is glaringly obvious at the O-line. Jalen Hurts is just running for his life. I wouldn't necessarily say that. But when you have an offense that's so inconsistent, it's obviously coaching. It's OB. Like I was saying to my family over the week when we were when everyone's watching all the football games and whatnot, it's just like when you have that level of inconsistency, when you have quarters, when you have halves, when you have games where everything looks like it's all connected and great and then suddenly not, that is the clearest example that coaching is the problem. Jalen Hurts doesn't just magically forget how to play football. A.J. Brown just doesn't magically forget how to get opened. Devontae doesn't just magically forget to not get the ball. Saquon Barkley doesn't just magically beat Ian, and you could hear all the broadcasts, they talk about it where they're all like, stop blaming Saquon or stop, like Donofsky has said it on the broadcast on F on Friday, said it, they're like, he's getting met in the back, like you got to get him the ball in open space, and yet the Eagles just simply cannot find ways to do that, and there are no, think about how this season has unfolded. If you want even a clear example of this is, there has been no changes, there has been no tinkering, there has been no adjustments. I mean, think about that. Throughout this entire season, there's been no adjustments, no changes whatsoever, and that's where then people get lost in their own nonsense, where they want to, everyone's got this weird obsession with Jalen Hurts and trying to prove that he's not good enough, or that this team is carried, or whatever nonsense they want to throw into the mix, and it's just like coaching. So you want to say that coaching and O-line issues, what's your explanation then for why Saquon Barkley isn't having the amount of success right now? Like, what would be the reason why? If you want to blame Jalen Hurts, that doesn't really make sense, because Jalen Hurts was there last year and yet super successful. And then if you want to blame, well, the O-line isn't as good, and it's like, okay, well then Saquon Barkley is getting impacted in that, then why wouldn't Jalen Hurts and the rest of the offense be impacted by that? And then it's like, well, no, they're just stacking the box to stop Squan, which one is not true. And two, they knew who Jalen Hurts was last year as well. You think that they're defending Jalen Hurts in a unique way this season than they are last season? The answer is no. No, they're not. Jalen Hurts, it wasn't Jalen Hurts' first year as a quarterback there. They know. You think Spags didn't know how to try to defend against Jalen Hurts? Like there's like some new master way to defend Jalen Hurts? The answer is no. No. So this is just continues to be more evidence as to why there is issues with coaching and execution and game planning and game management. And honestly, the simplest and dumbest, most basic example of that truly is the fact that Saquon Barkley was the only running back to touch the ball. It's like the most basic elementary way. Look at the Packers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. From 6 different rushers. The Lions. 1, 2, 3, 4. Kansas City Chiefs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The Cowboys. 1, 2, 3, 4. The Bengals. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, Christian McCaffrey, who's leading the NFL in receptions and rush attempts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll remove M. Jones from that mix, but 4 different players running the ball. Clearly, obviously, mainly CMC and Brian Robinson Jr. You had wrinkles. I mean, even with a Chan feasting, 22 carries, 134 yards, 6.1 yards per carry, and a touchdown. Still got it to rate. still got it to Gordon and got production. 3 carries, 16 yards, 3 carries, 10 yards. I mean, the Los Angeles Rams, Matthew Stafford, throw, had multiple running backs get massive production. 7 carries, 81 yards, 13 carries, 72 yards. Touchdown. I mean, and if you want to blame passing or something, let's look at the Minnesota Vikings game versus the Seahawks. Minnesota Vikings have a great defense. Sam Darnold did not have this great game. 14 for 26, 128 yards. Jackson Smith and Jigba was only targeted 4 times. Kenneth Walker, Charbonnet, 13 carries, 56 yards, 14 carries, 52 yards. Even got Shade involved. 1 carry, 9 yards. Little misdirection. A little, I don't want to say innovation, but just, I just keep saying wrinkles. Why are the Eagles the only team that didn't do any of this? Why is the team that's supposed to have this run-first identity with a quarterback who is elite at running the RRPO, where you're either going to keep the ball yourself and run, keep the ball and pass, or hand the ball off? You have the definition of another wrinkle that really keeps teams on their toes. And what Kellen Moore and Jalen were able to do together, they optimize, they maximize that. They optimize that. And I really forget which game it was, but Romo pointed it out so beautifully. And he talked about how this is all set up. This is all set up. There was able to be this big run with Jalen and then Squan and Roma. It might have been against the Rams. I forget which game it was, but he was just like, this was all set up throughout the course of the game that they're running this play. And it's just going to be different every time. And so the defense just does not know what's about to happen. And it's up to Jalen Hurts to kind of read and figure out what to do. And he's brilliant at it. And yet, you don't see any of that this year. Why? Oh, because of coaching. That's why. That's why they even pointed out, where are all the designed runs for Jalen this year? Where are they? It's why are they not there? Oh, because of coaching. So they're low, they're losing, they're letting the season get away from them in a year where it feels like anyone can win the Super Bowl. And in a year when anyone can win the Super Bowl, the reigning Super Bowl champions should have a great head start, because when you're going up against the Bears, when you're going up against the Seahawks, when you're going up against the Packers, you've been there before. If you get to the Super Bowl and it's not going to be the Kansas City Chiefs, you get to go up against the New England Patriots, Drake May's biggest game of his life, the Denver Broncos, Bo Nix's biggest game of his life. You're in a situation now where you're going up against a team that hasn't been there before, or a coaching staff that hasn't been there before, a quarterback that hasn't been there before, going up against a team that was just there. And it's how the Kansas City Chiefs have been able to keep winning, because they're we have to just lean on this. You guys haven't been here before. You don't know what to expect. You don't know this is our 18th AFC championship game. We can handle this moment. That's what the Eagles should have been able to do this year. But they made an absolute deadly coaching mistake. And that has now had devastating consequences. And the fact that they're doing nothing to try to fix that makes it even more problematic, because we could say, oh, well, A.J. Brown's going to be gone next year, this or that, blah, 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 blah. And that very well may be possible. But it's a shame, because if you got coaching right, you could have made everyone happy and could have continued to have more success. And now you will make a coaching move. But it might now be now you got to maybe lose AJ. Maybe you convince him. Maybe you hire a great coach. Maybe you're able to get Mike McDaniel or someone where you're now able to be like AJ. Things are going to be different, bro. We promise you. And now everyone can be happy and fed, and you get back to winning. But it's just this is a problem. This is a problem. Make no mistake about it. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Philadelphia Eagles? Do you think this is a solvable problem right now? Can this season be salvaged? And can the Eagles still be a Super Bowl contender? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single comment. So you agree with me or disagree with me? Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be a part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.